good evening and welcome to BBC One viewers. For those of you tuning in to see the 9 o'clock news, I'm afraid this is not the 9 o'clock news, although of course it's not the 9 o'clock news either. It's the Viking news for you. Hope that clears things up. In the news this week, at a garden centre in Hampshire, Ken Livingstone discovers a worrying case of greenfly on the GM tomatoes. Inmates of the arsonist wing at Strange Ways celebrate November the 5th. And at a Swindon Comprehensive, news filtered through that the art mistress isn't pregnant after all. On Ian Hislop's team, an author and broadcaster whose tirades were once described in The Guardian as like a strong wind in winter, exhilarating and much needed. Try telling that to the people of the South Coast. Germaine Greer. And with Paul Merton tonight is a man who 5 years ago was so unknown that he was introduced to Nelson Mandela as a violinist. It seems incredible now, but please welcome cellist Charles Kennedy. Identifying some of the more obscure news footage of the week would be impressive, but we prefer to start by showing them clips like these. Ian and Germaine.
Looks like rain.
Yep. This
Looks
is
like...
the water shortage in the south.
Hey! Hey, that's me.
And that's Kent.
Yes, I think what we've actually just seen is the buggering of Bognor. As had been promised by a member of the royal family.
I think you've got a different screen to me.
The figurative buggering of Bob.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, yes, of course. I'm sure His Highness only meant... Was he a king when he said that? He was a king, wasn't he?
George?
Yes.
I believe so, yes. He was on his deathbed.
When he said bugger Bognor, did he mean sort of like taking the population in alphabetical order, one by one?
He hardly had time to do that. I'm wondering, actually, if that's the
Well,
Three Valleys Water Authority. The Three Valleys Water Authority, which has told us that we've got to save water.
There's a hosepipe ban in Lewis.
Yes, the water authorities did actually send out leaflets asking people to save water this week, to stop washing cars.
They make rail track look competent, don't they?
It must be serious. I mean, when Tony Blair went there, I mean, despite all that temptation to show empathy, for once he didn't walk across the surface of the earth. That was just amazing.
And he didn't pipe his eye either. He didn't cry. We should be pleased.
Piped his eye. I've never piped my eye, I can tell you that.
The night is still young. I've got no sympathy for these people. Why buy a house that's in the middle of a river? They should have known that when they went round there.
So what, if I may ask, is the Liberal Democrat angle on global warming?
We're very concerned.
Right. You know what Mr Prescott's response was this week?
Unintelligible.
He said there was growing evidence of increasingly stormy weather.
Nothing gets past him, does it?
It's nonsense anyway, because 87 was worse. And no one was talking about global warming in 87. We've always had wild weather. In 1703, a hurricane hit England.
You were an undergraduate then.
Which involved the whole country.
So your message to the people is pull yourself together, it's not as bad as it used to be.
My message to the people is get a jet ski.
Right.
Now they can bring the jetpacks out. That's how you can be on your roof and you can go anywhere you like with the jetpacks. Bring the jetpacks out. The government's stocked up... Do you know about this? The government's stocked up jetpacks all those years. They should give us all a jetpack now. Where's our jetpacks?
So the government have been storing up jetpacks for us?
Yeah, exactly.
Hoarding jetpacks.
They were in James Bond films 30 years ago, so where are they now? Who's got them? I bet the Queen Mother's got 5.
But this is the storm that swept through Britain on Sunday night, devastating towns and bringing the country to a halt. As a result of the unusual weather conditions, rail track now face the familiar problem of leaves on the line, only this time they're attached to trees. Paul and Charles.
Oh, yes, well, this is it's a petrol tanker.
That's Mr. What's his name? Handley.
David Handley, yeah.
He's going to bring the country to a halt.
And that's one of the Army vehicles. The Army are going to come in to make sure that petrol supplies are provided for everybody.
If you look at the first two stories in the programme tonight, words of that song were so correct, weren't they? Things can only get better. Things can only get better. Big improvement in the last 3 years. Yes. Thank God we haven't got an intolerant government that's not listening to the people. That's what I say.
You've been listening to a party political broadcast on behalf of the Liberal Democrats.
That's a contradiction in terms.
What, they've been listening, yes.
The hauliers man comes on the radio yesterday and says, we're going to make Britain stop. We're going to create chaos. And you think, yeah, we really need that after the railways have given up and we've just had floods. That'll be really good. You'll get a lot of popular support that way. There are no trains, so we'll stop everyone driving.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
I mean, I think where the miscalculation is here, though, is that most people are really hacked off about the price of fuel. It's affecting absolutely everybody, and we're kind of glad that there are these big guys out here in lorries who are going to do a slow... I think. I live on a motorway. See?
Yeah.
Trust me.
What about the price of alcohol? You hacked off about that? How about a big blockade of distilleries, then? Off licences. Go and stand outside. Big picket line.
Oh, Ian, come on, that's silly. I mean, the whole point about... the point about fuel is you need it to earn a living. The point about alcohol is you need it to forget the fact that you have to earn a living.
Yeah. Do what I do, drink diesel.
It's the looming possibility of another fuel crisis as the 60-day deadline expires. In a move that badly backfired, Jack Straw recommended this week that everyone stock up before garages close, sparking panic buying of wilted flowers and charcoal briquettes. Ian and Germaine?
That's Al Gore and the mysteriously named wife, Tipper. This is George W. Bush.
What's Al Gore been up to this week?
They've all been on chat shows all week. And America is extraordinary. And politicians just go on cheap comedy shows.
They're also all wearing masks. You see this? They're all putting these masks on in these chat shows. Yeah.
So which is which there?
Jay Leno's the one on the right as we look, and Al Gore, whatever his name, that's Bush.
It's
Bush is wearing the Gore
George
mask.
W.
Yeah.
That's why he's holding up the W.
Oh, I thought he'd been asked what 2 + 2 was. He is the most amazing candidate, isn't he? And he makes Reagan look like Einstein.
There is now a website, in fact, that features Bushisms, such as more and more of our imports come from overseas.
I didn't realise John Prescott was his speechwriter.
So what did he do on this chat show? He was asked about an embarrassing childhood incident.
He came up with one of his brothers.
That's right.
That was nice of him, shifting the buck early on. He's going to be a brilliant president, isn't he?
Yes. His brother urinating in a steam iron, apparently.
He's a laugh, isn't he?
From what distance? I mean, from a distance, it's impressive. See what I'm saying? If he uses a funnel, then anybody can do it. From the other side of the room, through a window, then that's great. It's a knockout.
So vote Bush. His brother can piss into a steam iron.
I'd vote for him. I'd vote for any candidate could make such a boast.
Yes, evidently.
What about you,
I thought you were going to...
Would your brother piss into the steam iron?
Didn't have steam in those days, never mind electricity.
So what did he piss
Maybe
into?
maybe that is.
So this is the final week of the American election campaign. In the forthcoming elections, only 20% of Americans will actually vote. The other 80% can't fit in the polling booths. In America this week, the late-night entertainment shows have been non-stop Bush and Gore, a bit like Channel 5, really. And finally, Paul and Charles.
Oh, this is Prince Edward. This is probably going to be about... oh, yes, it's his house.
His house.
He's got a production
big
company, Ardent Production Company, makes television programmes, and there's some builders he hasn't paid as well. he's got this production company. They've been making programmes for 5 years and they've made a loss every year and nobody's investigating it.
There's also something about, isn't there, in this story, that big house that they live in, that gigantic house, some of the rooms in that are let out to his company.
He pays himself £50,000 a year to use his own house.
And he's just given himself a raise, so he's learning fast. You know, you have a loss-making company, give yourself a raise. The boy's got what it takes.
Perhaps he should sack himself. I could use another word before letters in it.
He could give himself a golden handshake.
Yeah, same sort of thing.
But there was a bit of film at the end of that, wasn't there, about... what's the name of the one but heir to the throne? What's he called? William, is it? Prince
Harry.
William? No, it's William.
William is the older, yeah.
Is he? That
William's
makes him
the older, but
heir,
he
doesn't
wasn't
it?
there.
Yes.
I'm a firm monarchist. I'm a Jacobite. So
Right.
It's the wrong family, so I'm not good in this lot. But hasn't Prince William and Britney Spears been communicating by email?
She's been told not to communicate by email.
This has not been vouchsafed, though, has it? This is just rumour, idle rumour.
Well, that's more than good enough for this bloody program.
Yes, this is Prince Edward's TV production company. Do you know how he likes to be known professionally?
Tosspot? Sir Tosspot?
No, he likes to be known as Edward Windsor.
But he's also known as something else, isn't he? He's the Duke of... What is he, the Duke
The Earl of Wessex.
He's the Earl of a part of England that doesn't exist. I think that's very
That's
cute.
because it's underwater.
Perhaps you should visit it.
So this is... yes, this is popular Prince Edward's TV production company.
Oh, that Prince Edward. Sorry, I like him.
Which this week announced losses of £2 million. Another TV embarrassment this week occurred live on BBC One when breakfast show host Sarah Montague was clearly being harangued by her producer in her earpiece and reacted without realising she was still on camera.
Good morning to you both. Professor Cashmere, this is affirmative action, isn't it? Plain and simple.
It's not plain and simple. I think affirmative action is...
Sarah Montague there, suddenly, for some reason, ordering 4 coffees. So, at the end of that round, both teams are up to speed, if not scratch, with 4 points each. To the shock horror world of tabloid headlines, most of the shock horror being contained in the appalling standard of wordplay. Ian and Germaine, your case in point. Sven, can you start, boss?
Well, this is a very interesting and to me totally unknown person who has brought Lazio to new heights. And because he's done so well with this passionate Italian team, they think he is just the chap. Sven Goran Eriksson, the walking telephone. And I reckon he'll be just like my Ericsson. Half the time he won't be able to pick up a signal.
As a Scot, obviously, understand, I feel very, hurt and humble about the complete catastrophe that is the English football team.
Yes, I can tell. So why is it a historic and obviously immensely interesting appointment, Ian?
Do you want to phone a friend?
Can I ask the audience?
He's Swedish.
Well, he's... We've never had a Swedish person managing. We. You see that bit of matey laddiness? We. Oh, it's easy when you know how. We've never had a foreigner running the team before. A lot of people pretty worried about that.
Right. Is that your...
Personally, I just don't care.
Well, Sven obviously has some idea of the level of help required.
Is that a candle the Pope's got in his head?
Did you read the Daily Mail's open-minded approach to the appointment of a Swede?
No.
This week? We've sold our birthright down the field to a nation of skiers and hammer throwers who spend half their lives in darkness. The FA have agreed to pay Ericsson a salary of £2 million plus a £1 million bonus if England win the next World Cup, making a grand total of £2 million. It's said that Ericsson will bring his Swedish work culture to the job at his desk by 8 in the morning and still trying to assemble it by 7 in the evening. Since our first show, incidentally, thousands of viewers have asked to see a particular piece of sporting footage again, and only one person has asked us not to. So here it is.
No, I know what's coming. Yes. I'm just not the violent type.
Yeah, it was a loaded ball, we could see that. OK, Paul and Charles. £1 million to pick up penguins.
Oh, well, this is a story, I think it's the Falkland Islands, I think, where they've noticed that the penguins there have developed this thing when a plane goes overhead, the penguin's watching it go overhead like that, and then falls on its back and can't get up. And they can't work it out why these penguins are doing this.
And so what are we doing about it?
The Royal Navy are going out there.
And they're going to get pilots to fly over them.
Yeah.
And see how they react, see if they do.
Yeah.
Just go
And then they're going to give penguins their own mini jetpacks.
Yes, it is extraordinary. They are spending £1 million on this. They're sending helicopters this year. Do you know what they're planning to do next year?
If we've got any submarines, no doubt they'll be going too. But we haven't.
We've got a German U-boat. We could send it.
We've got a U-boat, yep.
Yeah, well, we're hiring. The Royal Navy is hiring a U-boat. That's right. Do you know how much that's costing us?
Yeah, £20 an hour.
You haven't hired one recently, have you?
Not in the last 10 years, no.
Right. £6,500.
Boy, that's gone up, yeah.
And where's one of our submarines stuck at the moment?
Wolverhampton. It's in an airing cupboard. The navigation system went completely wrong. How much longer are you going to be in there, or I don't know.
Gibraltar, in fact, is where it's stuck. And which penguin is it that is affected in...
Barry.
It's not Barry, no.
Is it not Barry? Well, it must be Gareth, then. Mary.
No.
Mary penguin?
No, they're all fine. King penguins, gentoos and macaroni penguins, apparently.
Macaroni penguins? Why don't they just invest in loads of mattresses? With a high foam rubber content. So the penguin goes back and then balances up again. And you'll be all right.
Brilliant. I don't know
if the Navy are watching...
Yes, we could save
make them
£1 million.
little foam rubber trousers. Then if you get rid of the mattresses, it doesn't matter where they fall then, because they'll just bounce back up again.
Yes, if only we'd thought of that. Too late.
Mind you, when they were diving for fish, their arse would just float at the top. That's why you've got scientists looking at this sort of stuff. If you left it to me, it'd be no good.
The Sun generously spent time and effort explaining how penguins falling over might look, were any of its readers unable to imagine it. Here are the penguins unaware of any aircraft. This is them noticing the helicopter. And this is the resultant. Which flights of fancy mean at the end of this frosty exchange that neither side seems prepared to stand proud, level as they are on 6. Round 3 means only one thing. 2 more rounds and it's over. Odd one out. Odd one out is the name of the game. Just one per team this week. Paul and Charles. 4 faces to throw you. Ian Hislop, Germaine Greer, Charles Kennedy and Paul Merton.
Have you kind of run out of budget on this? The photograph's getting a bit expensive these days.
No, we just thought the real thing.
Is it about homosexual relationships at university? I didn't go to university.
Book publishing.
Would you like to explain?
Well, Germaine's published lots of books.
I've done a couple of books.
Right,
Paul's done a couple of books. I've done a book.
right.
And that was
Ian publishes Private Eye, but that's not quite the same thing.
No.
Publisher.
So Ian's odd one out.
Odd one out.
Is the wrong answer.
Well, how can it be the wrong answer? Because Ian's the only one who hasn't published a book under his own name.
Yeah.
So therefore he's the odd one out. That ipso facto, QED...
Well, maybe your odd one out, Paul, but it's not my odd one out.
All right, then I'll have the points.
But we've been on lists
it's
of
on a
most
power
powerful
list.
people in Britain.
Explain.
Well, they keep doing these lists and telling people like me, who are conspicuously powerless, that we're absolutely...
Well, I've never been on the power
Arbiters
list,
of-
so I must be the odd one out.
Is the right answer.
So of the three of us that have been on these power things, whatever they are, who comes top, bottom and middle?
Yes, what's the order?
Well, it's intriguing, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is, I should explain, the Observer list of the 300 most powerful people in Britain.
Sorry. I do beg your pardon, that was awfully rude of me.
Ian is 235.
Just above Keith Chegwin, am I?
Charles, you were 219th most powerful person in
To the
Britain.
19th.
You are up 10 places. That must be because you're now leader.
And where's Germaine?
Germaine, she is 198, so you're the highest.
Hey, well done.
And who is at number 67, who was in the news yesterday, in fact?
Well, there was lots of people in the news yesterday, so...
He resigned as Chief Inspector of Ofsted.
Chris Woodhead.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was number 67, so you'll all move up one now because he's resigned. But there's room for you now, Paul. You might slip in there at number 300.
It's always a dream, isn't it?
Charles Kennedy is in at number 219. According to the Mirror, Charles has much in common with Ground Force presenter Charlie Dimmock. The two Charlies are both Liberal Democrats, have red hair and are prepared to get their hands dirty if necessary. And, of course, both are visibly lacking support. Ian and Germaine, your forces of darkness are Peter Mandelson, Vladimir Putin, Mo Mowlam and Charles Kennedy.
They've left out the red Indian and the motorcycle cop and the other one. I think it's about people who belonged to far-left organisations when they were younger. Charles Kennedy was, I think, very left-wing when you were younger. Didn't you belong to some far-left group?
I was a member of the Labour Party.
When you worked for the Free Highland Good Evening Neasden, no, what was it called?
The West Highland Free Press.
The West Highland Free Press.
Which I've never worked for.
Oh, you haven't worked for?
No.
Oh, right, so this story's rubbish.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Well,
where did it come from? Where did I
Probably
read
Private Eye, I suspect.
They've all been bugged except Peter Mandelson, who was accused of bugging Gerry Adams. It's the right area. They all
The right
have
area,
been...
yeah.
Oh, well, they've all bugged someone apart from Kennedy.
Is the right answer. So, yes, Peter Mandelson listened into a conversation, apparently, between Tony Blair and the Irish Prime Minister's office. Putin is a KGB officer, or was for 17 years. And Mo Mowlam admitted to bugging Gerry Adams' car in December 1999. In fact, we can see the MI5's state-of-the-art gadgetry here.
Looks like a petrol pump.
Or possibly even a jetpack.
So, Charles, tell us about being spied on by Labour. What happened?
We've got an office in the House of Commons where I have my meetings, and we suddenly discovered a few months ago that some junior Labour researchers with the full mastery of spy techniques were standing on the other side of the door listening to my conversations.
It wasn't a glass door.
I was absolutely astounded.
Charles Kennedy was first alerted to the fact that Labour researchers were listening to his private briefings by the telltale sign of a thud followed by gentle snoring from behind the door. And so to our final missing words round. Quickfire in theory, long drawn out and fatally anecdotal in practice. The usual array of black oblongs covering the vital areas of this week's headlines, including many, fewer or more from this week's guest publication, the never less than exciting Doorknob Collector. So to your marks for what on display?
Knobs.
Is the right answer.
There's never been a more blatant excuse to do knob gags.
This is from Doorknob Collector. Next, girls prefer what to what?
Knobs to knockers.
Yes, you're right. There's never been a better excuse.
Yeah, but girls prefer redheads to baldies.
You've lost half the people who once voted for you.
Ducks and vases.
No. It is, in fact, mobiles to cigarettes. So fewer damaged lungs, but more microwaved brains. Next, wanted what?
A collection of Victorian doorknobs to show off to the family and appreciate in value over the years.
Is this girlfriend for Ken Russell?
Oh, yes,
Does
the
he put an ad
internet
in?
courtship of Ken Russell.
It is, in fact, your most interesting doorknob story.
Well, you know, bend down, tie in your shoe, door closes behind you. Get stuck, the hinges come off.
You could get that printed if you sent it in.
Well, I think I will then.
Yeah.
Dear Doorknob Collector,
According to the Doorknob Collector, next month we'll see what is hoped to be the greatest doorknob extravaganza ever. How many does it have to compete with? Which animal capers bring us romping to the end of tonight's scrap, where it appears that both Paul and Charles and Ian and Germaine both have 10 points each. So in the time-honoured tradition of quiz shows, we play stone, paper, scissors. So Ian and...
I've been training for this, such an eventuality.
Yes. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3.
A lot of work went into that. It's a whole backs team that you don't see. I'd like to thank my sponsor for helping me over the last few years. In many ways, it's a dream come true.
I'm gutted. If I'd had lottery money, I would have won.
And I leave you with news that there's proof Jeffrey Archer's novels have reached every corner of the world. As Yachting World's Hunk of the Month calendar hits the shops, there's a surprising choice for Mr. December. And an unexpected crowd arrives for the start of Farnborough Air Show. Good night.